Day 5 of Monica's bad court thingy. Before the state of Victoria called their first witness, the parties discussed a few administrative matters. But Monica has something important to raise with the court.
Monica would like to call another witness.
While doing my research over the weekend about the Jones versus Dunkel theory, not theory, but whatever.
Reminder, Jones versus Dunkel is a case concerning inferences that may be drawn when a party fails to call a witness or give evidence or tender documents, and that failure is unexplained. The failure may lead to an inference that the uncalled witness or evidence would not have assisted the party's case. Last week, Counsel for State of Victoria flagged that Monica's failure to call her parents and boyfriend to give evidence would be the subject of Jones versus Dunkel submissions. Monica reveals that there is an important witness that is not on the state's list of witnesses, the then acting superintendent.
He's not on the defense's list. The defense haven't explained why he hasn't been called. If they are not calling him, I would like to subpoena him.
Monica acknowledges that calling another witness will add more time to the hearing of the case.
I don't want to spend 30 days in trial.
Monica says that she's
prepared to consider dropping one of the witnesses down the chain, maybe even two.
Justice Tran leaves it for the parties to confer separately on this matter.
State of Victoria calls their first witness.
The state's first witness entered the witness box, Acting Superintendent Troy Papworth. At the time of Monica's arrests on 31st October 2020, he was Inspector of Police. He wasn't present when Monica was arrested the first and second times, but in relation to the 3 arrests, he gave the direction to deploy tactical actions in relation to the group of protesters, of which Monica was one. One of key issues in trial is whether the officers had reasonable grounds to believe Monica was in breach of CHO directions when she was arrested, so his evidence will be relevant to proving reasonable belief in relation to the 3rd arrest. Key evidence that came out of his examination in chief, either because it went to reasonable belief or because Monica spent a lot of time cross-examining him on it, was as follows. Morgan and Monica were known to police prior to the 31st October date of the protest at Treasury Gardens. In one of the police briefs, Monica is described as an anti-lockdown personality. In police intelligence briefings, Morgan was identified as the organizer of the protest. Police had particular arrangements in place to facilitate management of media. Media unit liaison from police would liaise with media. Police would use different tactics depending on the size of the group. For example, if they encounter a group larger than 10, they would take action to enforce arrests. No matter if the individuals were socially distancing, if they were coming together for a common purpose, they were in breach of CHO directions. Before 31st October, he knew Monica as someone to be organizing protests against CHO directions. He knew she had an organization called RDA. One of the documents tendered into evidence, an intelligence alert, mentioned Monica's Sack Dan Andrews bus, and that Monica intended to be present at the protest. There was another document tendered referred to a live stream Monica had posted about the protest. It said, quote, RDA reporter Ms. Smit has said she intends to attend as a journalist, end quote. Prior to the protest, he hadn't any view about Monica and her representations as a journalist, but he knew she was involved in organizing protests. At the time, he thought highly likely Monica was going to be present at the protest. As to his observations prior to Monica being arrested the 3rd time, he said that he'd observed the group all standing together. He observed some had placards wearing screen-printed clothing or clothing with same messaging on it. They seemed to have gathered in a group for a common purpose. As a result, he formed the view they were in breach of COVID rules, and he gave evidence that he thought it necessary for the arrest to occur in order to prevent the continuation of further offenses and to establish the identity of those involved in the offending. It's around this point that Monica jumps up and raises another objection. She was starting to get more confident objecting to evidence, but still a little unsure as to whether she should be objecting.
Objection. I don't know if I'm allowed to object on this basis, but,
Justice Tran interrupts.
You're allowed to object on any basis you want. Whether you'll be successful is another question.
Monica explains the basis for her objection.
This is not a successful objection.
Despite her objection being overruled, I think having Justice Tran tell her that she can object on any basis she wanted helped Monica's confidence. She would start to object more frequently. She got ahead of herself once or twice, objecting before counsel for the state of Victoria had even finished her question.
Objection.
Perhaps if Ms. Smit waits and let me ask my question before she raises her objection.
Counsel then plays body cam footage, taken before Monica's third arrest. This was body cam footage showing police had formed a circle around Monica, Morgan, and the others involved in the protest. Key evidence extracted during this line of questioning included Acting Superintendent Papworth says that based on the footage, he would have been the one to give the police officers instructions to enact the circle around the group, cordon, and deploy those tactical actions. Based on his observations at the time, he believed the group to be in breach of CHO directions. Speaking on a loudspeaker, Inspector Papworth informed the group that they were in breach of CHO directions. He offered the group the option to come to the edge of the cordon or circle with their hands on their heads to be arrested. Why still arrested? To prevent the continuation of an offense and establish identities of people committing an offense. And Papworth didn't recall if members of the media were inside the cordon. He didn't make an assessment himself, whether any members of the media were in the cordon. Police had a police media liaison officer present, and he said he would have expected the media liaison officer to be liaising with media. Had any media been in the cordon, he would have expected the media liaison officer to approach them to come to the edge of the cordon.
Monica commences her cross-examination.
The moment Monica had been waiting for had finally arrived. It was now time for Monica to commence her cross-examination of Acting Superintendent, then Inspector, Troy Papworth. How to describe Monica's cross-examination? It really was a sight to behold. Her questions fell into one of three categories, often overlapping: irrelevant, helped the defense's case, confusing, or didn't make sense. Oh, but she asked them with such confidence. I take it she'd prepared for her the cross-examination by watching episodes of Law and Order. The drama. The outrage. The attempts to catch the witness off guard. She thought she had many bombshell moments, that she'd tricked the witness and destroyed his credit.
I am giving you the opportunity to admit your mistakes on the day,
she said to him at one stage. If there was an award for the most confident self-represented litigant, she'd certainly be a strong contender. She was loving the chance to cross-examine a member of Victoria Police. I suspect she thought she was doing a great job too. In reality, it was a different story. As a general rule, when questioning a witness, you should never ask a question you don't know the answer to. Monica asked lots of questions she didn't know the answer to, and received answers she didn't want. But that didn't put her off, not in the slightest. She'd just asked the question again in a slightly different way, but louder, in the hope she'd get the answer she wanted. Counsel of the State of Victoria objected a few times to Monica doing this.
Objection, Your Honour. The witness has answered the question. Ms. Smit can't just keep asking same question just because she's not getting the answers she wants.
Acting Superintendent Papworth didn't give her much to work with either. Again, she wasn't deterred. She'd just move on to a different question and ask it louder than her previous question.
Journalism.
Monica asked Papworth a series of questions about what he knew about her before the Treasury Gardens protest on 31st October, evidently hoping to establish, well, it was a little confusing. On the one hand, I think she was trying to establish that 1, he had no evidence she was involved in any illegal lockdown protests, 2, he knew she was a journalist. But on the other hand, she was trying to establish he was biased against her because of her anti-lockdown views.
You said more than once in your evidence-in-chief you knew who I was?
Yes.
Were you aware I conducted online events for people to protest within the CHO directions?
No.
Were you aware that I conducted many interviews with shop owners, with Parliament, with several members of Parliament?
No.
You said you thought I was an organiser of events, yet you have just told the court that you have no recollection of the significant content I was doing in the weeks leading up to the event.
I don't have specific recollection. I do have a recollection of Ms. Smit being an organizer of events.
Are you telling this court you don't have one piece of evidence that you can refer to as me being the organizer of the event?
There will be numerous mentions of Ms. Smit being an organizer in intelligence documents.
But you can't recall a specific example, so you made a judgment based on other people's judgments because you can't recall a specific example yourself.
Yes, that's the purpose of the intelligence briefings.
Did you watch any of RDA content? Did you go to the RDA website?
No,
So you didn't see any of RDA's content?
I saw a great deal in the police briefings, but I didn't go to the RDA website.
Monica seemed quite disappointed that Papworth had not taken it upon himself to visit the RDA website.
Biased?
During her cross-examination, Monica sought to establish that Acting Superintendent Papworth was biased against her as an anti-lockdown protester. Monica asked Papworth questions about what he thought of the CHO directions, whether he thought they were fair, and whether he had any issues enforcing the CHO directions. Papworth said it wasn't his role to have an opinion on the CHO directions, although he said he had no issue with them and he had no issue enforcing compliance with the CHO directions.
You wouldn't enforce those directions in an impartial and biased manner.
Objection. The question is unclear. Bias and impartial have opposite meanings.
Oops, maybe I have the meaning of impartial wrong.
I'd say at this point, Monica really started to get into her cross-examination.
Were you working at the protest on 23rd October?
I don't recall.
You previously told this court you worked at many protests. Are you sure you want to tell this court that you weren't there on the 23rd?
Monica thinks she's giving Papworth a really hard time and is quite enjoying herself. Justice Tran has to pull her into line a little.
Ms. Smit, the witness has said he didn't recall.
The bus?
The bus! Oh, the bus! Evidence had previously been led that Monica was in charge of the Dan Andrews bus. Painted on the bus was a picture of Dan Andrews' face with the words, "Sack Dan Andrews." Monica spent an inordinate amount of time questioning Papworth about what Victoria Police thought about her bus. What does the bus have to do with whether he had reasonable grounds to suspect Monica was breaching COVID rules? Very little. But Monica thought that Victoria Police had been targeting the bus, and this was evidence that Papworth was biased against her for her political views.
You didn't like that bus, did you?
I had no opinion of the boss.
I am sure the bus was discussed a lot at your police station, at lunchrooms, in your locker rooms, whatever you guys have.
I recall it being mentioned in police briefings.
Monica thinks Victoria Police targeted the bus because of the imagery on it. She mentions that the bus is referred to in the police briefing documents, putting to Papworth that this was evidence of police targeting her for her political views. Counsel objects, telling Monica she can't just refer to something from the police briefing document. She needs to show the document to the witness and take him through it. The court adjourns while Monica tries to locate the relevant document. Unfortunately, Monica can only locate a copy of a police report made after she was arrested. Counsel for the State of Victoria objects on grounds of relevance. The issue in the proceeding is whether the officers had reasonable belief Monica was breaching CHO directions. A document produced after she was arrested does not really go to what was Papworth's belief at the time. However, Justice Tran allowed it as it was a document that described the event of the day. The next line of questioning from Monica was a real head-scratcher. In her defense, I don't think the document she'd located was the one she wanted to question Papworth about. There was another document that counsel had questioned Papworth about during examination in chief. It referred to the bus and was created prior to Monica's arrests. I think she felt pressured to find the document in a timely manner, and after searching for several minutes, she found one that mentioned the bus, so she figured it would do. Monica, referring to what was written in the document about the bus,
It says here person of interest, so the bus was a person of interest.
No, not the boss. I believe that's referring to the driver of the bus.
The document also mentions that the driver of the bus said he was instructed to drive around and around, circling Treasury Gardens. The document says that police intercepted the driver and he prevented from carrying out these instructions. Monica, latching onto the word prevented.
It says here prevented. The driver was prevented from driving the bus.
I think what she was getting at was the driver was prevented from expressing his political opinion as he was prevented from driving the bus.
No, he was prevented from carrying out instructions.
Monica then moves on to her next question.
Police would never politically discriminate against someone for having a political view.
No,
So if a bus was following the law, parking where it was permitted to park, it would be free to roam around Victoria.
Yes.
You wouldn't waste resources targeting someone for their political views if they weren't breaking the law.
No.
Oh boy, Monica thinks she's about to drop a bombshell. She's about to catch the witness out in a lie. Monica asks Justice Tran's associate to please show the court the new material. And this new supplementary material? It's a news.com.au article about Monica's bus. Monica seeks to tender the article into evidence.
Objection! There's nothing in the pleadings about the bus, and Ms. Smit hasn't established that this witness knew anything about the bus.
Monica asks Justice Tran if she will let her ask Papworth some questions about the article before making a decision about whether Monica can tender the article into evidence. So, to recap, Monica has asked the witness whether Victoria Police would waste resources on someone if they weren't breaking the law. She thinks this article is going to prove Papworth wrong.
So in this article, Victoria Police spent 2 hours investigating the bus to see if there was anything wrong with the bus. It was parked legally. They said it was unsafe. It had a frayed seatbelt. Would you call that unsafe?
Counsel for State of Victoria rightly objected. Justice Tran patiently explained to Monica why her line of questioning was not permitted.
Ms. Smit, you can ask this witness about what he knows about any investigation of the bus.
As a police officer with a focus on preventing anti-lockdown protests. This was a success for you, wasn't it?
Counsel objects again. Objection upheld. Monica tries again.
Did you ever have conversations with Dan Andrews or his staff about the bus?
Objection!
Well, his face was on the bus, so they never said we need to get that bus off the road.
No.
Monica has learnt that when a barrister is cross-examining a witness, before challenging something the witness has said, they will commence their question with, "I put it to you."
I put it to you that this bus was discriminated against, and I put it to you that so was I, and I put it to you that...
Counsel interrupts. Monica is putting too many things to the witness at once. She needs to put just one statement to the witness, wait for the answer, and then move on to the next one.
Bias and discrimination.
Monica's cross-examination was a little all over the place. She jumped back and forth on various issues. After some initial questions at the start of her cross-examination, where she sought to demonstrate that Papworth was biased against her, she then revisited this line of questioning later.
What was your opinion of anti-lockdown protesters?
They had potential to breach CHO directions.
I think Monica was started to get frustrated that Papworth wasn't giving her what she wanted.
That's not your opinion. What was your opinion about the protesters as a group?
Objection! I understand what Ms. Smit is trying to do, but she can't keep asking the same question if she isn't getting the answer she wants.
Monica attempted the question again.
Anti-lockdown protesters didn't like lockdowns. You agreed with the CHO directions, so it's fair to say you didn't agree with the sentiments of anti-lockdown protesters?
Yes.
Do you think anti-lockdown protesters were annoying?
Objection! This is similar to question before. The witness has answered the question. Ms. Smit can't keep asking same question just because she's not getting the answers she wants.
Targeting organizers of protests.
Monica sought to establish that she was targeted by police because they believed her to be an organizer of the event.
Did you treat organizers differently than other people?
No.
Monica took Papworth to one of the police briefing documents which described the response police intended to take when dealing with people who were seen to be breaching CHO directions. The document described taking a tiered response, with people facilitating the organization of protests being targeted as second tier.
So you were targeting us.
Papworth explained the need for a proportionate response. Protest organizers weren't treated disproportionately.
But it was part of protocol to target. Doesn't target mean treating disproportionately?
No.
So if there's two groups of people sitting around, two sitting down, having a picnic, two are organizers, you wouldn't target the organizers first?
We would go and speak to the organizers to understand what their intentions were.
So you did target the organizers?
Appearing that they intended to form a group.
Monica took Papworth to a post-event report, prepared following the arrests. The document is a narrative of what unfolded that day. It describes how there were about 50 people there who were appearing that they intended to form a group, or looking as though they may have intended to form up. About 25 of those people were arrested. It seems Monica thought that the use of the words looking like they intended was evidence that police had arrested her and others for merely looking like she intended to breach KHO directions, but hadn't actually breached KHO directions.
You say they looked like they were intended to form up. What does that mean?
It means exactly what it says.
So they were looking like they intended to form up. Before you arrested people, did you make sure they were all there for a common purpose?
It was a breach of CHO directions at the time for more than 10 people to meet for a common purpose.
No, I don't recall.
Did you or didn't you?
I don't recall.
So you arrested people without knowing whether they were in breach of the CHO directions.
I made an observation.
So you made an assumption they were breaching.
I made an observation. Based on the group, they had placards, were wearing screen-printed clothing.
What were they wearing and what were the placards?
I don't recall.
So you assumed they were breaching CHO directions because they had placards and T-shirts, but you can't remember any of the placards or T-shirts.
Later on, Monica then showed Papworth another document, a police briefing document prepared before the protests at Treasury Gardens. The document described how police would take enforcement action against obvious and deliberate breaches. What followed was a bizarre line of questioning about how police don't follow their own instructions on the basis that the pre-event brief referred to responding to obvious and deliberate breaches, whereas the post-event report described how police had identified people who appeared to be gathering in groups of more than 10. Of note in her questions, Monica was hyper-focused on a single sentence in the detailed post-event report, a narrative summary of the day as it unfolded. She wasn't reading that one sentence in the context of the rest of the document. This was pointed out to her, but I think it was lost on her. Monica put to Papworth that was a clear inconsistency between the pre-event brief versus the post-event brief.
Appears to be gathering in groups of more than 10 is not an obvious and deliberate breach.
The CHO directions were clear not to gather in groups of 10 or more. Appearing to be gathering in a group of 10 or more is an obvious breach of CHO directions.
You assumed they were protesting because of the T-shirts they were wearing and they had placards.
I believe I said I assumed they were forming together for a common purpose because they were holding placards and had screen-printed T-shirts.
So you agree they were holding placards and wearing screen-printed T-shirts.
Monica is pleased. She believes she has caught Papworth out in a lie. Monica announces she's about to play a video from the day. It's footage taken by live streamer Real Rukshan. Before doing so, Monica asks Papworth,
Are you sure you want me to play this video?
Papworth has no issues with Monica playing the video. Monica plays the video. Based on the footage played, no one in the group is carrying placards, although some appear to be wearing the same T-shirt, freedom movement related based on what I saw. Monica ignores this fact, though. Monica stops the video.
Have you seen any placards in this video?
Papworth says he hasn't.
Did you base your actions and form your reasonable belief on the basis you thought you saw a placard? Did any of that look like blatant and obvious breaches of the CHO's directions?
Papworth says that he recalls in his observation was seeing a group of more than 10 people coming together for a common purpose. Counsel objects to Monica's questions as the video footage she showed the court is not from the time Papworth says he formed his opinion that the group were in breach of CHO directions.
Oh, well, we can play the whole day then.
Justice Tran explains to Monica that she needs to ask Papworth if there were placards at the time he formed his opinion that the group were in breach of CHO directions. Monica asks the question.
No, I formed the opinion because they were clearly breaching CHO directions, because they were forming in a group.
Did you ask the group why they were there? The journalists were there to journal, I was there to journal, Morgan there to do a speech, people having a picnic were there to have a picnic.
Papworth explained that the group appeared to be in breach. This was not sufficient for Monica.
Appeared to be in breach, but you didn't ask them, did you?
Papworth again explained they appeared to be breaching as they were gathering in a group of more than 10 in what appeared to be for a common purpose.
Appeared to be breaching is not the same as blatant and obvious breaches.
Before Papworth can answer the question, Monica interrupts him.
You were there.
Monica is clearly enjoying her cross-examination. She's forgetting that the point is to extract answers from the witness, so she can use the answers as evidence to help her case. Justice Tran reminds Monica,
Ms. Smit, you need to let him answer.
Monica moves on to a different question.
The pre-event briefing was to only enforce blatant and obvious breaches. but the post-event brief said the people only appeared to be breaching. Is that blatant and obvious?
Yes.
Monica did not like the answer, so she changed tact, accusing Papworth of forcing her to breach CHO directions. What?
Well, I put it to you that you forced people to come together, and I put it to you it was so you could get them in a group of more than 10, so you could arrest them for breaching CHO directions, because you didn't like anti-lockdown protesters.
What? Monica then asked Papworth what he knew about the first and second times she was arrested. Evidence had already been led that he wasn't there when Monica was arrested the first 2 times.
I wasn't there, but I would have been briefed, I guess.
You guess?
I have no specific recollection, but that's generally how it would have worked.
But you were in charge of the whole operation.
Again, what? Where did Monica get the idea that he was in charge of the whole operation? Counsel objected quickly, pointing out evidence had been led in the examination-in-chief about Papworth's area of responsibility on the day Monica was arrested, and very clearly wasn't in charge of the whole operation.
Were you aware who arrested me that day?
No.
Gee, you didn't do your job very well that day.
Objection. That's a comment, not a question.
I put it to you that you didn't do your job very well that day, did you?
I can't remember whether Papworth answered that. Ha ha. Cross-examination continued for a little while longer, with Monica asking Papworth what his understanding was between an activist and a journalist. He gave evidence that he thought they were mutually exclusive, and one couldn't be both an activist and a journalist at the same time. At this point, it was about 4 p.m. Monica had been cross-examining most of the day. It's been exhausting watching her, so I can only imagine how tired she is. To everyone's surprise, she said she wasn't finished and would need to continue her cross-examination tomorrow. I'm starting to think this case isn't going to finish on Friday. Court adjourned for the day.